Hello, and welcome to our first EDH video. We are Wizards of the East Coast from St. Augustine, Florida, the oldest city in the United States, 555 years old to be exact. First up, we have our resident tribal player, Andrew, who hopes Vikings are a thing in the next set. Next, we have Eric, a mostly combo control player who sells solar power when he's not slinging counterspells. Then there's the Timmy of the group, whose name is actually Timmy. He's a father of two and the host of our weekly battles. Finally, my name is Sean. I'm a former Pro Tour competitor turned exclusive EDH addict. I'll be your narrator. Andrew goes first, plays the Unclaimed Territory on Vampires. Eric plays a Untapped Steam Vents and a Soothsaying. Timmy plays Island and passes. Sean plays Wooded Foothills, cracks for a Ketria Triome, and passes. Andrew plays a Swamp. Eric plays Inventor's Fair, taps to cast Talisman of Progress. Timmy plays a Floodplain and passes. Sean plays Taiga, taps out for Simic Signet. Andrew plays a Swamp, taps out for Sorin Imperious Bloodlord, and ticks down to put Bloodline Keeper onto the battlefield. And passes. Eric casts main phase Brainstorm, then plays Cascade Bluffs, taps out, and casts Monastery Mentor. Timmy plays Mountain, then cracks Floodplain for Steam Vents, Shocking, and plays Propaganda. Sean plays Fury Islet, casts Mystic Remora, then Azusa, Lost But Seeking, and plays Prismatic Vista as extra land drop and passes. Andrew plays Mountain and casts Rakish Air, triggering Eminence and creating a Vampire token, and ticks up on Sorin to give Bloodline Keeper a +1/+1 counter on lifelink, and moves to combat, hitting Eric for 4. Eric untaps and plays Rogue's Passage and passes. Timmy plays Teferi's Tutelage and makes a deal with Eric. If he doesn't counter it, Timmy won't mill him for the entire game. He mills Sean for 2, and plays in Izzet Boilerworks. Sean pays the upkeep cost on Mystic Remora, draws, taps out for War of Invention with X=1, which Eric promptly swan songs. Sean draws a card for Mystic Remora, gets a bird token, plays an island, and passes to Andrew. Andrew untaps, plays a Vivid Meadow, plus his Sorin, sacking a Vampire token to kill Azusa, then casts Twilight Prophet, getting another Vampire token. He now has the city's blessing, and he moves to combat. Eric casts a Mystical Tutor, creating a Monk, and finding a Rapid Hybridization. Andrew and Eric then make a deal not to attack each other for 2 turns, and since Andrew can't pay the mana for Timmy's Propaganda, he then moves to combat. And swings the Bloodline Keeper at Sean, who promptly throws the bird token in front of it. Nothing else, he passes. Eric taps out for his commander, Elsha of the Infinite. Timmy untaps, plays an island. He casts a Soul Ring, triggering Mystic Remora. Sean draws, then casts a Gutter Snipe, and with nothing else, he passes. Sean pays the 2 on the Mystic Remora cumulative upkeep, draws, plays Yavimaya Coast for turn, casts Preordain, and then taps out for Finale of Devastation X=2, finding a Dockside Extortionist, creating 5 treasures. He then sacks 3 treasures to cast his commander Haldan, and passes to Andrew, untaps, draws, or reveals for Twilight Prophet a land, puts it to hand, then draws. Uses Sorin's Plus to sack his Vampire token and deal 3 to the Gutter Snipe, and then casts Stromcurve Captain, creating another Vampire token. And Sean is ready to take the damage, assuming it's coming at him. But Andrew doesn't attack and passes the turn. Eric casts Soul Ring on his upkeep thanks to Elsha, then plays a Spire Bluff Canal during his main phase, and passes to Timmy, who mills Sean for 2 thanks to Teferi's Tutelage, and then casts his commander, the Locust God, plays a Mountain for turn, and passes to Sean. Sean casts Pako, which Timmy attempts to Arcane Denial, and thanks to having Haldan in play, Sean can Fierce Guardianship for free. And before combat, Eric casts Merchant Scroll and searches his library, putting a Narset's Reversal into his hand. And Pako attacks, triggering, getting 3 cards off, and non-creature cards, making Pako a 6/6. And then plays a Forest, and casts a Springleaf Drum. At the end of the turn, Andrew transforms the Bloodline Keeper, and then for his turn, he plays a Rogue's Passage, casts a Skeletal Scrying for X equals 2, exiling 2 from his graveyard and drawing 2.
Dude, am I the only person who, when you see the store Pet Supermarket, you're like, that's a little twisted?
Oh, like you're expecting to see like geckos pushing carts out of the store?
No, more like what kind of meat are you buying at the Pet Supermarket?
Oh, people's pets.
This guy.
Here we have Choice Fifi. I only do Prime Fifi, man.
Yeah,
Choice
this
Fifi's
is
too tough.
It's too tough on the jowls.
Andrew ticks down on Soren, putting a Vampire Nocturnus into play, revealing the top card of his library. It's a Chandra, so his vampires don't get a buff, and then moves to combat, sending the token and the Rakish Heir and Stromkirk Captain at Sean, and the Lord of Lineage at Timmy. Timmy chump blocks the giant Lord of Lineage with his Locust God, and Sean takes a massive hit. All of Andrew's vampires proc thanks to Eminence. He plays a Pillar of Origins, passes the turn to Eric, who untaps, draws for turn, peeks thanks to Elsha, plays a Windswept Teeth, which he then cracks, paying a life, finds a basic Plains. This will come back to haunt him later. Timmy makes a show of the fact that he forgot to return the Locust God to his hand at the end step and puts it back in his hand. Eric plays cracks Inventor's Fair to find an Isochron Scepter. He casts Isochron Scepter, and with the imprint trigger on the stack, attempting to imprint Rapid Hybridization, which Sean, checked the wording of. Sean Croson grips, so the Rapid Hybridization is stuck in exile and the Isochron Scepter is gone. And Sean then takes a hit from the Monastery Mentor and the Monk for 5, dropping him to 15, and passes to Timmy. Timmy untaps and draws, milling Sean for 2. He cracks a Fabled Passage, gets a basic island coming into play untapped, and then casts Magic Mirror with nice cost reduction. He passes the turn to Sean. Sean moves to combat, swinging with Pako, exiling some lands, the Chandra, and Timmy's Mystical Tutor. Pako is now enormous, but he doesn't have trample, so Andrew chump blocks with the Stromkirk, or the Vampire Nocturnus. Sean plays a land, casts Timmy's Mystical Tutor, which Eric Dovin's vetoes, creating another monk. Sean casts Chandra, Torch of Defiance, ticks up to exile the top card of his library, which he cannot play because he already played a land, so everybody takes 2, and passes to Andrew, who flips a swamp, plays the swamp, and then casts his commander, Edgar Markov. And he moves to combat. Eric takes a peek with Elsha. Andrew pays the 2 for propaganda to attack Timmy. And Edgar and Lord at Sean, and Twilight Prophet attacks Eric. Sean casts Reality Shift on the Lord of Lineage to shrink the whole team a bit. Dockside Extortionist will chump block Edgar, and everybody else takes a hit. Andrew gains a bunch of life, and he passes to Eric, who untaps his team and all his permanents, draws, and casts a wear on the Pillar of Origins, creating another monk, and sends the team, Elsha, the mentor, and a bunch of guys, and Sean casts Obscuring Haze for free. Eric was attempting to get the Planeswalkers off the board before he Wrath of God, which he just did, but the Planeswalkers stuck around thanks to the Obscuring Haze. And passed to Timmy. Timmy drew a card from the Magic Mirror and a card for turn, and with Teferi's tutelage, milled Sean for 2 and Andrew for 2. And it's worth noting that after playing the Highland Lake, Eric is shields down at the moment. And Timmy casts his Locust God and passes the turn to Sean, who untaps, attempts to recast Pako. Before moving to combat, Timmy Chaos Warps, and Sean hits a Birds of Paradise off the reveal and passes to Andrew, who untaps, plays a Witch's Cottage. He controls 3 other swamps, so he puts Twilight Prophet back on top of his deck from his graveyard and recasts his commander. Uses Sorin to make Edgar bigger, and Edgar attacks Eric. Eric plays a Reliquary Tower, recasts Elsha, and now he's got 1 blue source and a Plains untapped and passes to Timmy. Timmy draws 2 off the Magic Mirror now, plus drawing for turn. Plays a Command Tower and casts Expropriate, which Eric could have countered, but he only had 1 blue source. Actually, he could have Narset's reversaled this, but he did not have the 2nd blue source for it. Sean, like an idiot, voted to give Timmy an extra turn instead of one of his permanents, not realizing how powerful Expropriate is. Pretty boneheaded move on Sean's part. That's me, by the way. And he takes Eric's Elsha and Andrew's Edgar, both of their commanders. And then on the first turn, flips a Temporal Mastery. So now he's going to have 3 extra turns in total. Sean Veils of Summer to try and find some answer for the Temporal Mastery while it's on the stack. Fails to find anything. Andrew and Sean both get milled a bunch. And Fury Emancipation comes down. So it's just a matter of dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Timmy plays a mountain, casts Factor Fiction, choosing Eric to decide on the piles. And Timmy takes the pile with Niv Mizzet. Attacks with 2 rather large creatures. And the damage is magnified thanks to Fury Emancipation. So Andrew has been taken out. Timmy casts a Thrill of Possibility on his next turn. Sean casts Capsize to bounce the Niv Mizzet back, so things don't get too crazy, but it's too little, too late. Elsha takes Sean out. And moving to his next extra turn, Timmy shows the hand and Eric concedes. Thanks for watching our first EDH video. If you enjoyed this and you'd like to see more content, please like and subscribe to our channel, Wizards of the East Coast. This is Sean, and for Eric, Andrew, and Timmy, we'll see you next time.